Welcome to section 1.2, solving linear equations. Your name, date, and period. Your objectives for today are to explain that each step in solving a linear equation follows from the equality in the previous step. Create and solve linear equations with one variable using properties of equality. Our first example is solving linear equations, and in this example you will see that this has multiple steps, and you may be used to 1- and 2-step equations. So follow along and we'll have plenty of practice in class. The first method asks us to distribute. So we're going to distribute the 2, which means multiply, by the 2x and the minus 9. 2 times 2x is 4x, and 2 times negative 9 or minus 9 is minus 18 over 5. Then we have plus 10 equals 32. Now we look at the x and what has been done to the x. We've multiplied it by 4, we've subtracted 18, divided by 5. Then we added 10. The last thing we did was add 10, and so that is what we're going to do to both sides. We're going to subtract 10. And I'm going to also make this distribute in red so that you could see what we did first. Okay, and the 10s cancel, leaving us with 4x minus 18 divided by 5. The last thing I said was divided by 5. So to undo that, we are going to multiply both sides times 5. That is the opposite operation. Multiplying, dividing, it cancels, leaving us with 4x minus 18 equals, I see I made a mistake. Grab your eraser. We forgot to subtract 10 from that 32. 32 minus 10 is 22. Okay, so now we have to do this operation. 22 times 5 is 110. We have 4x minus 18. The last thing we did to 18 was, or to x was minus 18. Add 18 to both sides. And we're going to cancel these. Add the 110 plus 118 is 128. 4x. 4x, that means we're multiplying by 4. To undo multiplying, we're going to divide, and I like to show divide with a fraction bar. X equals, and if you'd like to, you could use a calculator, but I can do this in my head because 4 goes into 12, 3, and 4 goes into 8 twice. So when we divide, we get 32. 128 divided by 4 is 32. The second method is going to skip the distribution. So we have 2 parentheses 2x minus 9 divided by 5 plus 10 equals 32. Like in the last one, the thing that I did to the x, the last thing I said on that side was plus 10, so we're going to subtract 10 on both sides. These 10s cancel. 32 minus 10 is 22. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by 5, because if I read this equation, the last thing I would say would be divided by 5. So multiply both sides by 5. And these 5's cancel, leaving us with 2x minus 9 equals 110. The next thing we'll do is, now here's where our last thing that we did to x kind of doesn't work because we have parentheses here. The parentheses kind of protect the x from anything until we get rid of what's on the outside of the parentheses. So we have a 2 times here. To undo the 2 times, we're going to divide it by 2 on both sides. And you'll see here these 2's cancel, leaving us with 2x minus 9 equals 55. 110 divided by 2 is 55. 2x minus 9, that means we're going to add 9 to both sides. And when we do that, the 9's cancel. 55 plus 9 is 64. So 2x equals 64. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to divide by 2. The 2's cancel, and x equals 32 again. So 2 methods to do this problem. Both are correct, and you get the same answer each way. So we have some questions about this. In method 1, why is there a 24 in the second row when there was an 8 in the first row? Okay, I think that maybe I did this method a little bit differently than I had originally. So we're actually going to skip that question because it was a different way that I solved that problem. What is the difference? I'm sorry, there's a typo. What is the difference between the 2 methods besides the first step? So the first step we distributed on method 1. In method 2, we subtracted 10 first. So that is one difference, that they're not asking about that difference. So when did things change? So right here we still had 110, and in this section we had 110. But in method 1, we didn't have the dividing by 2 part, and so that step is different after the 110. So after each side equaled 110, each method. The steps changed. So in method 1, after 110, we added 18 to each side. And after the 110 on method 2, we divided by 2. And then everything after that was different. Solving linear equations 2.0. So we're going to practice some more of this. We have 200 equals 16 parentheses 6t minus 13. Or I'm sorry, minus 3. So we could distribute or we can divide by 16. I'm going to choose to divide by 16 on both sides. So 200 divided by 16. I'm going to do that in my calculator. And I get 12.5. equals, these 16s cancel, so we have 6t minus 3. So this was our first step. We divided by 6, or 16. And our second step is we're going to add 3 to both sides. That's our second step. 12.5 plus 3 is 15.5. And that's because the 2 and the 3 are in the ones place. So I know I didn't line up those decimals very well, but you should know that we're going to add the 2 and the 3 because those are both ones in the ones place. Equals, these 3's cancel, 6t. My third step is I'm going to divide by 6. And I will do that in my calculator. 15.5 divided by 6 is 2.583 repeating equals t. Okay, in this next example, we have 1/3 parentheses c minus 4 equals 2/5. My first step in this problem is I want to get rid of the 1/3. So instead of distributing 1/3, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. That'll be my first step. 3/1. That is the reciprocal. It's the flip of 1/3. Because watch what happens. 3 times 1 is 3, and 1 times 3 is 3. 3/3 is 1. So this cancels, leaving us with c minus 4 equals, in a fraction we're just going to multiply across. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 1 is 5. So that was our first step. Please don't let fractions scare you. If you need extra help with fractions, I'm happy to spend some extra time with you when we're working on our practice. The second step is we're going to add 4 to both sides. And then what do we do with that? Because we have a fraction plus a whole number. So c equals 6/5 plus 4. What do we do with that? Well, 4 is a whole number, so I can't write it as 4, like 1/4, but it is 4/1. If that helps, we can put it over 1, because 4/1 is still 4. And then we're going to find a common denominator. So the common denominator is going to be 5. 6/5 plus, if I multiply, so I'm just simplifying this right now. We've already have our answer. It's 6/5 plus 4, or 4 and 6/5. So I'm going to multiply this times 5/5. And when we do that, 4 times 5 is 20, and 1 times 5 is 5. And then we can add those together and we get 26/5. And so that is what c equals. 5 goes into 26 5 times with 1 left over. So either of these answers are fine. That is what c equals.